Okay, call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members, any meeting of a public body. This meeting, the Select Board, will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public who are parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person or for those who wish to do so remotely. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 38, Section 20F, notifying the chair of a public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, may transmit the meeting to any meeting. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. So this meeting is being recorded by the Berkshire Edge, Berkshire Eagle, Town of Great Barrington, and there may be other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed. Other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. All Select Board members are here in person, so we'll start with the approval of minutes.
I'm going to do these in two groups since I was absent for the 10-2023. So do I?
No, let's go there. Second. Any discussion? Favor? And the next. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Select Board's announcements and statements. Ben. And then we're going to address something. There's two hands up. I'm going to just assume this is a process, maybe a hearing. So that's what I want. Yeah, I don't think that one's on.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
This is on the side.
I don't see the lights. The eyes aren't, are they lit on that side? Yeah.
That way.
Can anyone hear us right now? Raise your hand. Up.
Eileen, can you hear us?
Just unmute yourself if you can hear us.
Are you having sound
Buddy, your mic's open.
Right up.
Chris, can you log in the other room?
Bill and Ruby are on the call too. No, I'm not showing you.
Chris will be logging in, so we'll see what he does.
Unplug that second.
That was on. Chris, can you hear us now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. So, Eric, Ben, can you just speak, see if you can be heard?
Hello?
Can you hear Ben?
Yes, it's not great.
You,
Go through the other one.
yeah, that side of the table is going to speak a little louder.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so everyone should be able to hear us now. I'll review quickly what we did. We approved the minutes of October 20th with Lee abstaining, October 30th, and November 6th. Ben, I'm gonna ask you to do your statement again. It was well rehearsed. You haven't had a chance at it, but- yeah, thank you.
All right. A little louder.
Yeah, projected back. All right, I would like to thank the DPU for getting out there today with the liquid salt and ahead of the inclement weather that we have coming up. I really appreciate the fact that we're being proactive this season and treating the roads. I also want to thank the DPU and all of our contractors who have been working on the pedestrian safety measures that we're installing on Main Street at the crosswalks. But I also want to make sure that everyone using it, make sure to still be checking the road as you walk out into the road. The beep doesn't necessarily mean that cars will be stopping. It just means that hopefully they are aware of you. I have noticed firsthand that some people tend to think as soon as you press the button, you can walk directly out, and that's not the case. And then I've read a few things this week of questioning whether or not this board is on the side of Houstonic Waterworks customers. And I would just like to, again, emphatically say that we are, and I will read the quote that I had from Mark's testimony. Again, from the last section, that says, as Selectman Bannon stated at the September 26th public hearing, the town understands the need for and endorses upgrades to the Houstonic Waterworks system. But payment for those upgrades should not come solely from increased customer rates. Customers are already burdened enough, and any rate increase should reflect a reduction of the Houstonic Waterworks company request by redirecting the use of existing Houstonic Waterworks revenue sources. And I was just adding that as a member of this board, and as a resident of Houstonic who drinks in Houstonic water, bathes in Houstonic water, and provides it to his family, a family that includes a young child. I just want to be very clear that we are on the side of the Houstonic Waterworks customers during this process. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Garfield.
I'm not.
Thank
Yeah, just a few things. Just wanted to say thank you to Berkshire Grown and everybody that participated in the farmers market at the Hoosie Dome this weekend. Always a great event. Always good to see all the farmers that we have in the local area. And it's just a good community gathering, almost social event, and it's great. So also wanted to remind everybody we're having a little fun turkey trot at the back of the Hoosie Cemetery on Thanksgiving. Signups at 8:45, races at 9:30, fun walk, run, all the 9. And just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and have a safe evening and eat too much food and take a moment to enjoy your family, friends, and our community.
you.
One announcement that the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force will be meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll be discussing the construction schedule and a progress update on what's happening at the lake. We'll also be discussing kiosks and signage, among other things. So if anyone is interested in what's happening at Lake Mansfield, I invite you to come. So there's an agenda posted, and again, it's at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
I have nothing for town manager's report.
I only have one for this evening, and that's a Houstonic Waterworks related update. Last Tuesday, the 14th, was the deadline for submitting written testimony to the DPU. That document is posted in the Houstonic Waterworks tab on our website if anyone would like a copy. And as of today, we've received 30 reimbursement applications. A small team of volunteers met earlier today, and they'll be assisting us with reviewing these applications going forward. So if anyone is interested in applying, please go to our website, townofgb.org. The funding will be available until December 31st of 2026, or until we exhausted this funding. So there's no rush. You can continue to collect your receipts, and there should be plenty of money set aside, at least for the next 6 months or more when we reevaluate it.
So Mark, just to clarify, because I did get some queries about it. So this first phase will be approximately 6 months for people if they didn't have receipts already. They have about 6 months to get $300 worth of receipts if they have that.
Yeah, and the program won't go away in 6 months. You'll just, as a board, reevaluate. At that point, I'll come back to you with a report telling you how much funding it remains in that account and how many applications we've approved.
Okay. And if anyone has questions about the receipts or what they can submit, should they write you, or who do
They
they?
can contact my office. We'll help them with that. It's a one-sheeter application, so it's very clear. There are 3 categories: water filtration, bottled water, and laundry-related expenses.
Okay.
So anything that falls into those categories should go right through the review process easily.
Okay, thank you.
So this is all on the website. Is this anywhere else posted anywhere?
We have
In
paper.
Shopper's Guide or the library?
We have paper copies available here as well. We didn't post the application anywhere, like in print, no.
But it's on the website.
It's on the website, and we have printed copies here, both in my office and at the door downstairs.
Thank you.
Priority planning.
Yeah, sorry, priority planning is the next item I have in my list for tonight. We generally hold 2 priority planning sessions a year, one in June, one in January, and I'd like to
see, if we can get a date scheduled for January while the board is convening tonight, and just want to throw January 29th at 6 o'clock out there for your consideration.
Works for me.
It's a non-meeting Monday for us. There's no conflict with the Parks.
Okay,
That works.
sounds like we're go.
I'll notify staff.
Okay, thank you. Licenses and permits. Application for one-day liquor license Berkshire Cider Project. Is someone here? Just raise your hand. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. So the first one, is the one-day liquor license. Do you want to just give a brief explanation?
Sure. And I guess it's actually 2 days, but I don't know how that works. But it's for the Great Barrington Arts Market, the Delightful and Delectable Arts Market. And we will be hopefully offering samples, small samples, 1 ounce, just so people can sample the product, and then bottles to take home with them as gifts.
And that's December 2nd and 3rd, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a one-day liquor license to Berkshire Cider Project on December 2nd and 3rd of 2023.
Second?
Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to know, is there some way they're monitoring these free samples? Like put on the nose and come back and get 3 more?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I will be there monitoring the table. Again, they're 1 ounce samples, so I don't think anyone's gonna get out of control with those.
About 4 or 5 times.
And yeah, I'll be monitoring intake and making sure people just sample 1 time.
Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. So the next one, please.
I
Right,
make a
so-
motion.
Oh, sorry.
Go
No, I didn't know if you needed any more description from me, but
Yeah.
same kind of situation. Will be at the Great Barrington Farmers Market. We've done that 2 years in the past. Again, we'd love to offer small samples of our product there and then bottles to go. And yeah, I think this will be our 3rd year at that market.
And that's the base.
It starts, let's see,
At Hussey Dome, yeah.
December 16th and ends April 20th.
Yeah, it's every 3rd Saturday.
So it's December 17th to April 20th, the 2nd Saturday of each month, is that?
That's correct. Yep.
Go ahead.
So I make a motion to approve the application for a farmer winery license to sell at the farmer's market. Between December 17th, 2023 and April 20th, 2024, which is the 2nd Saturday of each month.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it. It's the third
Discussion?
of each month.
It's the 3rd.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
the 3rd of each month.
And anyone else with questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too. Next one is a public hearing for Midori's Garden. So we're going to continue that. So motion to continue to December 12th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Town Hall in Great Barrington.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. .304 North Plain Road driveway permit application for David Long and Georgine Poliak, continued from the select board meeting on October 30th, 2023. So do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the driveway permit application for David Long and Georgine Pollock. With the following conditions as submitted by Joe Aberdale, the DPW superintendent. The following, in addition to the town's driveway bylaw requirements, the addition of a driveway at 304 North Plain Road will be constructed as follows. For the 14-foot intended width of the driveway, the organic materials within the town right-of-way, property line to edge of Route 41 will be removed, properly disposed of, and replaced with a minimum of processed gravel. The driveway will be sloped away from the road so that water from the driveway does not enter the roadway. A minimum of a 12-foot culvert will be installed below the proposed driveway in line with the existing swale, such that the existing drainage is not impacted. The gravel surface and culvert will require periodic maintenance by the landowner.
Well,
Second.
And David, you're all set with that?
Well, I just want to clarify, what we were talking about.
Get up to the microphone, David. Just introduce yourself for the record,
Dave
please.
Long, 304 North Side Road. What we were talking about with Joe was a 12-inch culvert. I mean, 12 foot is a reasonable.
Did I say
width.
12 foot?
That was a typo on reading.
Okay,
It's 12 inch.
Oh,
okay, no problem.
sorry.
Yeah.
Then that's even with glasses.
Didn't mean to-
I'm sorry
didn't
about
mean to
that.
scare you. Questions or comments?
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I guess I would just make the comment that, this being the third, curb cut on the property, the reason going towards the future, the reason I'm voting yes on this is because of the distance from the first two driveways to this third driveway. So just wanted to make that, clear for any future curb cuts coming around, that the driveway distance between these two is very substantial. It's 300, 400, 500 feet in difference between them. So it's a big reason for me, to have a positive vote on this.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We're not setting precedent here.
Yeah.
It's a unique situation.
Yes.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, David. Just for the record, there are 5 panelists and 20 attendees right now. And then there's a room probably with about 10 people in it. New business tax classification hearing FY 24 presentation and vote. Come right up. Ross.
Good evening, Selectboard members, members of the budget committee, and members of the attending public. They are here to discuss the tax classification hearing. At the tax classification hearing, the Selectboard is required to vote to implement one or a combination of 4 class options distributing the tax levy amongst property owners. The options are open space discount, residential exemption, small commercial exemption, or a single and split tax. The town currently has a single tax rate with no exemption or discounts given to specific classes of property. The vote to grant discounts or exemptions to specific property classes will result in higher tax rate for non-qualifying property owners, as the tax burden shifts away from the exempted recipients. A vote in favor of more than one option will result in different tax rates for different property classes, regardless of the classification options chosen. The amount of the overall tax levy will not change. Historically, as part of their annual budget policy, the Select Board and Finance Committee has endorsed the single tax rate option, providing no exemptions or discounts with a particular property class or group. Voting a residential factor of 1 affirms the single tax rate and a proportional sharing of the tax levy burden amongst all classes of property. Voting a residential factor of less than 1 to split the tax rate, thereby shifting the burden away from the residential class onto the commercial, industrial, and personal property owners. 2 separate tax rates would create a lower rate for the residential and open space, and another higher tax rate for commercial, industrial, and personal property owners. Land enrolled in chapters 61, 61A, or 61B would be subject to higher tax rate as it would be classified as commercial for tax classification purposes. Open space discount is defined as land maintained in an open or natural condition. It must be distributed significantly to benefit the enjoyment of the public. It does not include land taxable under the provisions of MGL 61A or 61B, land with permanent conservation restrictions and land held for production of income. Open space discount is up to 25% of the selected residential factor. By discontinuing a certain percentage of the value attributed to open space, the tax levy burden is shifted onto residential taxpayers, thereby increasing the pay. Presently, no lands are classified as open space because those that might benefit receive a higher a greater discount by enrolling in chapter 9. The residential exemption grants and exemption to properties that is the principal residence of the domicile of the taxpayer under MGL 51, section 5, the exemption amount may not exceed 35% of the average assessed value of all residential property class properties. Granting the residential exemption increases residential tax rate as it's just a burden within the entire residential class away from lower valued owners, occupied dwellings valued at higher than the break even, multifamily properties, apartment buildings, vacant land, and non-domicile property owners. Properties of domicile taxpayers valued below the break even pay fewer taxes, while those valued higher will pay more. Currently, only 14 of 351 Massachusetts communities grant residential exemptions. These communities are typically large cities or towns with many non-occupied properties like apartment buildings or resort communities with many seasonal residents, Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, etc. Small commercial exemption. Small commercial exemption may be applied to certain commercial properties whose assessments is less than $1 million and occupy a business certified by the Department of Employment and Training and having no more than an average of 10 employees in the previous year. If adopted, up to 10% of the assessed value of the eligible property would be exempt. The property owner is the direct beneficiary of the tax savings and is not required to pass the savings on to tenants. The total gross value of the small commercial exemption is redistributed to non-qualifying commercial properties owners in the form of a higher tax. Single and split tax. Adopting a single tax rate requires the select board to vote and maintain a residential factor of 1. A single tax rate allows for all classes of properties to pay their share of the tax levy without shifting the burden to any particular class of property. Voting to split the tax rate shifts the burden from the residential class to commercial, industrial, and personal property class, and requires the select board to vote on a residential factor of less than 1. The minimum residential factor for the town is set by the Department of Revenue, 0.827457, which allows for CPI shift of 1.5. So for this year, now a little bit of review of where we've been. This year, we're levying to $27,803,300, which is an increase over last year of $1,621,082. Or 6.19% increase. The total taxable value of all properties is $1,670,517. And as you can see by the chart below, we saw a residential increase of 9.1%. Commercial actually went down by -0.3. The industrial class went up just slightly by 0.2%. We saw a 4.7% increase in personal property, and overall, we saw an increase of 7.6% in the total taxable value of the properties. This year's tax rate will go down again for the 3rd year in a row. It's $13.89, and that's based on dividing the current tax levy by the total taxable value of all properties times $1,000. Excess levy capacity this year is $1,268,581. Our maximum allowable is $29,471,882. And as mentioned previously, we're levying $27,803,300. New growth. Thousand crores to new growth this year. About $21,274,563,000 in growth. That growth based on last year's tax rate of 1407 translates into $299,333 in tax revenue. Residential growth was $10,721,341. Commercial growth was $1,338,300. And we saw $9,214,922 in personal property growth. Median and average single family pricing The median value for a single family home is $440,100, which translates based on the current proposed tax rate of $13.89 to $6,113, or a change over last year of $491. The average assessed value is $548,589, which translates to an average tax of $7,620, or $573 change over the previous year. The median and average commercial value, the median commercial value is $495,500, which translates into $6,883 in tax, which actually is an increase of 89 last year. And the average commercial property is $826,145, or $11,475 in tax, which is a negative $127 compared to last year. And the fire district, based on the amount of money that they're levying, we're seeing an increase of $1.64 over last year. With a 64% increase. 50% increase. Yeah. So with that, if anyone has any questions, I'm certainly more than happy to answer them at this time. If there are no questions, then I would ask the board to decide on shift if you want. We took it one for that classification.
Any question from the board? We have a motion, the, classification.
I move that we adopt a single tax rate of $13.89 per 1,000 evaluation.
So let's start with the.
Okay. I recommend, sure,
It's a single.
I recommend that we adopt and maintain a single tax rate.
Second,
Discussion on that.
I guess, just for the sake of discussion, when we get to this point every year, I always am very interested in all these other exceptions or discounts and everything like that, but at the end of the day, the internal battle I have in my head and the numbers, just comes down to we are a smaller town, and the shift of the burden would be pretty great on the upper threshold of housing. And so I end up leaning towards the single rate, as Ross suggests, although it is sometimes a battle for me.
Understood.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Lynn.
Yeah, I just had a question. The personal property tax, some people might not know what that is, so maybe you could, I know what it is. Obviously, probably the board does, but if you could clarify that for people that don't know. And also, my second question is, it went up 4.7%. Looking back maybe 5 years, are we seeing a substantial increase each year? And is that due to the seasonal home ownership and the second home ownership, or is there another reason for that increase?
So personal property, two things. If you're a business, anything you use in the conduct of that business, this tax is personal property. And how you classify determines what you pay. So if you're like a sole proprietor or just an LLC, most everything you have is going to get taxed unless you reclassify yourself as a corporation, unless what you have gets taxed. Secondly, you're second homeowners. If you're a second homeowner in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the content of your second home gets taxed as personal property. Appliances, couches, beds, chairs, bureaus, things along those lines. What we saw this year was probably mostly attributed to what we call the 504 utilities, which are the Berkshire Gas, National Grid, Mass Electric. We saw a pretty significant increase in their personal property, which is the biggest item that contributed to that 4% increase we're seeing this year.
When you say their personal property, explain that a little bit, please.
So when you look at like Berkshire Gas, all the equipment that they use that's installed in Berkshire County, we saw growth in that area.
Because of more investment in it, or because they had to get more equipment for growing demand? Okay.
So every year, a couple of years back, there was a little bit of story on this. So they always submitted their numbers and we more or less accepted. And then at some point, a town out in the eastern part of the state said, we don't think you're reporting your net book value correctly. then it went to the default tax board, and then it went to the Supreme Judicial Court, and it turned out the assessors were right. They weren't necessarily reporting the values right. So then this whole methodology changed about how they should be valued. And it came to this whole 50-50 analysis that needs to be done every year. You have to get this Handy Whitman book and go through all these calculations. And so, there were, a lot of towns ended up hiring vendors to do that analysis, because most towns don't have the ability to do that kind of analysis. And so now they're valued based on this 50-50 analysis, which is actually, contributed to more growth for a lot of communities, based on the way they were currently reporting the net book value in the past.
Okay, so when you look at the category for seasonal homes and second home, can you break that down and see how that has gone up? If you split the, personal property from businesses do you have a rough sense of that?
You could, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see if there's a greater increase in people buying homes for seasonal homes or investment or.
Yeah, I mean, you could break it down and try and pull that data out of the system, see
Mhm.
how much of an increase saw in second homeowners.
But there hasn't been alarming, like,
No.
you haven't seen that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a
There's a ton more a second. We have 15 new homes got through though.
Oh, 15 brand new.
15 brand new homes. None of them were completed, but by June, end of June, which is when we can take growth though. But it still contributed significantly to the growth numbers we saw in residential.
So we have a motion and a second, and that was to continue with the single tax rate. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. So the next one, if you want to go first? Yes,
We'll do the single rate, please.
yeah.
Make a motion to open our meeting. So moved. All in favor? All right, on the single rate, the recommendation.
I move the adopt the single tax rate for the session.
Second, any discussion on it? All in favor?
Okay, so the fire district just adopted their single tax rate. Next would be the actual rate. So do I have a motion?
I recommend the adoption of a single tax rate of $13.89 per $1,000 of valuation for all classes of property for FY 24.
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
just not to be technical, we actually are adopting a single shift, which when you ask a single shift, we call it, what's a single shift?
Yeah.
Approximately 1398. The reason I say approximately 1398
Yeah,
is because tomorrow when we submit this to the Department of Revenue for approval, they sometimes tend to round numbers. It vary, but.
okay. Would you like me to say single shift instead of an approximate? Okay, I can read it. I recommend an adoption of a single shift tax rate of approximately $13.89 per $1,000 of valuation for all classes of property for FY 24.
Second?
And I think I'm correct that last year it actually went down from what we adopted.
Yeah.
So when it was submitted to the state, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a little rounding.
any questions?
I'm glad to see it's going down, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, correct? Great.
I'd like to have a motion for tax rate single shift of approximately $1.54.
Second.
And one of the reasons why we want to do that, over the last 15 years, our average tax rate has been 97 cents. This year, because of some extenuating circumstances, we're working on an interconnection with the Houstonic Water Company. It's in the process now. We have time and bond, and we're in the process of purchasing a piece of property. We're expected to go through in March. Everything has been signed, sealed, and delivered, but what we have to do is sign the contract. We have to get the lawyers together. At the Green River Pumping Station, we're working on an ultraviolet disinfection system. We're at the present time, we use a chlorine system, and we're going to this ultraviolet classification because actually we're classified as a groundwater source. And so by going to ultraviolet, what we're going to do is have a double clean our water, basically, because the ultraviolet will take care of anything we can have that comes out of the river, even though we're separated by a couple hundred feet. And we use a filtration system that goes into our tanks before we pump the system. It's now going to go through ultraviolet disinfection. That should be online hopefully by the middle of next year. What happens is that it's going to be contained in the building and time down and get that done. We're working on a new well source up off State Road. It happens to be in the wetlands and we're having to deal with the state because we're at the present time looking at 5,000 square feet of, conservation type problems we have to work with, which is above what the level of the local conservation plans. So we're dealing with the state and it's not for the fun. We also hired because our employees, we have, 4 employees, we have 3 gentlemen on the road at the present time. And, they all have, are within 10 to 12 years of retiring, so we're worried about having, a source of information. So we've hired a new employee who just started. Also, we were paying 8 cents for our electric rate, it was costing us $8,000 a month, gone to 17 cents. Gas has gone up, and those are just a couple of the increases. What's gonna happen is that in 25, we'll have a group of the tanks that we have, the bills will be paid on that, we'll no longer have a mortgage for that. At the present time, we'll be most likely spending roughly the same amount of money, $2.5 million. So we got caught in the shift with the, information that we've had to put out for the engineering source for the purchase of property that's caused the rate to go up. Like I said, over the last 15 years, our rate has been 97 cents. This is extraordinary, and we will imagine by 25, we'll be able to bring it back down to normal. But because of the ongoing expenses, I can see it's more like it'll stay around $1.25 instead of $1, is because of the economic conditions that's going on, and we've had inflation, and they're talking about the only thing to bring it back down to $1, we need some type of big deflation, that's what's gonna happen. I'm open to any questions you might have.
Michelle, you have a question?
Michelle Rivera, 70 Division Street. I just want to point out, I'm getting texts that people can't hear the discussion and people don't know who is speaking.
Okay, go to the microphone, buddy, in case of question. People at home, I suspect that you would raise your hand if you couldn't hear like you did before. So if you can't hear, please raise your hand. Texting someone in the audience makes no sense whatsoever.
It happens. Let's be better. Yeah.
Open for questions.
Questions?
Thank you for the effort.
Stay there so you can vote,
Oh,
so at least they can hear you.
All those in favor of the Dow 64?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions on for Ross or anyone else before we move ahead?
I'm sorry, I don't know who was speaking.
So you have to come to the microphone and give your name and address.
Okay. Maureen Bigley, 70 Street.
Depot Street
In this time. Yeah, so I'm an actual
Sure.
resident.
Okay,
Great Barrington.
buddy, do you want to go to the microphone and introduce everyone from the Barrington Fire District?
Oh, I'm sorry. All
That's
right,
okay.
Hi, Bill Foster is the first person to my right, he's the chairman. Hammer, Kenny Schumacher, our treasurer, Bill Franklin, member, and then the most important member of our staff, our clerk.
State her name.
Right.
Mrs. Cole.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, moving ahead. The tree commit, oh, Ann, hold it, don't leave, gentlemen. Ann O'Dwyer, go right ahead. Just unmute yourself, Ann.
Can you hear me now?
We
Can
can.
you hear me now? Yeah, it's when someone comes up to the microphone to speak, there's some echo and I can hear you perfectly clearly and most of the select board members, but sometimes the microphone, for some reason, it's hard to follow and I've tried now on 3 different devices, so I know it's not my device.
Okay, I appreciate that. We'll
Yeah.
try, if somebody speaks, we'll try to get them closer to the owl.
Okay.
Thank you, Ann. Yeah, I don't think that's. Anyone else? Okay, let's go on to the tree committee's recommended revisions to the town's list of recommended trees and adopt the revised list.
Can I share my screen?
You can. I think you're gonna have to move the podium a little farther up so you're closer to the owl. I think that's the best way to do it tonight. Yeah.
Come on up, all right.
Yeah,
over
right,
here.
right over here. Okay. Yeah, but it's not working, they're saying. It's not working well. Yeah, it seems to be reverberating for some reason. Okay. Okay.
Just trying to figure out how to share my screen here. Share.
No.
So sorry. It's making me. Sorry, it's making me.
That's fine.
Marcus, panelist?
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I got booted out, so I'll try it again. I'll look for it. It's just about to connect.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So we've moved the speaker closer to the owl, so it shouldn't be garbled. There are no guarantees, but.
Okay, one more try. I'm gonna try sharing my screen here
Okay.
and let's see.
Looks successful.
Okay. All right, finally. So sorry for the delay. So part of the duties.
Just introduce
Oh,
yourself.
sorry, I'm Gary Frankel. I'm a member of the tree committee. I live at 152 Bridgewood Road.
Thank you.
And one of the duties of the tree committee is to update the acceptable list of species that we recommend for town planting. The last time this list was updated, we're looking at it now, was in April of 2021. So over the last few months, the tree committee has been meeting to rethink the list. And our goals were, one, to provide additional data about the species we're recommending. We're finding just the large, medium, small to be a little limiting. For example, if we have to plant under a power line, you're going to want to know the height, not just large, medium, or small. Second is to make it easier for the town, citizens, and businesses to select trees to plant on streets or at their property. And three, we wanted to broaden the list of recommended trees with a focus on shade trees, native evergreens, and a few species that we actually are using around the town, but didn't make this list. And we think we should have more of it. So I'm going to show you what we want to switch to. So this is the current list. This is our new list. Let me see if I can just reduce that so you can see the screen better. I know this looks a little busy, but this provides way more data about the trees we want to plant. The items in yellow are new trees we want to recommend. Again, the focus was on shade trees, native evergreens, and to make sure our town inventory is reflected in this list. And what we wanted to do was add additional categories. Again, I'm sorry, I can't show the entire screen at once here. But things like showing which trees are native to our region, which comes up a lot in tree committee. Rather than just doing large, medium, and small in terms of the size of the tree, we divided into height and spread. So if we're planting on streets, we know how much room we have to work with, both horizontally and vertically. Things like whether the tree was deciduous, use their leaves, or evergreen. Things like salt tolerance. So if we're planting on the street, we know which trees can handle the salt. This list can be easily sorted. So if you wanted to just go and see all the native trees, you can sort it by that column. We tried to make this as user-friendly as possible. And that's pretty much it.
And this list is on the town website?
The request is that we would replace the previous list
Yeah.
with this document you're seeing now. So this is the current list. We'd like to replace it with this list that we were just looking at.
Terrific. Go ahead.
Thank you for your work and thank you for the tree committee's work. I'm a big tree person, so I love to have an opportunity to have you up here. Just question in general, and thank you for this updated list. You know, there has been questions that I've received from residents, you know, that, you know, this person is cutting down this massive tree on the front lawn of their house that's, you know, butts the side road. Can you give us a sense of really what, you know, how that works in terms of kind of resident?
Yeah, so those requests, if they are a town tree, then the tree warden will weigh in on whether it's salvageable or whether that tree should.
How do we know if it's a town tree? So that's the question.
They'll call the warden will be able to weigh in on whether that tree is technically on private property or the street. I think there's I don't remember the ordinance, but there's a certain amount of space between the road and the sidewalk that belongs to the town in certain parts of the city. It sort of depends on where in the town it is.
So if it's on your property, let's say the hill, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of older trees there. If someone were to cut a tree that's, you know, if someone's concerned or if it just disappears and I mean, do you get questions about that or?
We have not gotten questions about trees being removed in a way that the town felt was somehow, you know, illegal. It's sometimes the opposite actually, where there's a street tree and it seems like it's someone's private tree, and then we will work with the resident saying, we don't think this tree is healthy. We think this should be taken down. It doesn't happen a lot. I would prefer if the street warden would speak to his own process. That's not really within the day of the tree
So it's a
committee.
tree warden.
But we do get a report every month about what the tree warden has done. Those are in our meeting notes. And so the town does have visibility into any trees that the tree warden has removed.
Thank you.
You have a motion.
I have a question.
Yeah,
I
we'll do the
probably
motion.
had stuff, so.
Yeah, we'll do the motion and the question. That'd be great. Martha.
I move that we approve this new updated recommended trees for planting lists from the tree committee.
Second. Sure, we'll go right ahead. Yeah. Because he went right ahead and I was being polite.
All right.
Oh,
Do we know where these trees are being planted? Because I know the horse chestnut is a very messy tree. It gets messy early. The one on Holland that
Yeah,
starts
there's also one in
dropping
front of the
leaves
library as well.
are really nasty. I'm not sure where they're going. Do you know where they're going?
Yeah, so this list here is not what we are planting, it's options for what could be planted. So for something like horse chestnut, where to your point is very messy, we wouldn't recommend that necessarily as a street tree. That might be a better park tree. Or might be just a good tree for residents to plant on their own property. Part of the goal of this revised list is to encourage citizens to plant more trees on their own properties. There's only so much we can do as a town, but if every resident would adopt, you know, a planting strategy, then obviously we would see way more trees and have more diversification, particularly with climate change and the need to have a more diverse set of trees in our town to adapt to all the different changes that are happening.
Ginkgo's also pretty messy.
The females are way worse. The male
Well,
ginkgos
I'll
are.
put that flat, my wrist.
The male ginkgos are actually really beautiful and don't provide that stinky smell that you may see from the female ginkgos. Maybe not the best street tree, but we think it's a beautiful tree to add to our potential inventory. Provides a lot of shade, it's a very beautiful tree and also very unusual.
Just kind of follow up on Garfield's point there. I love this list. And is this gonna be dynamic that people can actually sort?
Yeah, I'm just gonna share this exact Google Doc, and people can sort and play with it any way they want.
Additional resources to kind of answer the questions that Garfield's kind of asking as far as like maintenance and proper ways to like care for these trees and get them to flourish. Are there any resources available for that?
They're not visible on the screen, but there is a notes column and I could certainly add a little bit more information. There are some places where I did, but not.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a fantastic resource to just really help diversify the tree population. I think
Yeah.
just making sure we have as much information as possible.
Yes, and our hope is that the residents will come and talk to the tree committee if they have questions, but to your point, we can certainly make this a dynamic document and continue to add more information. That'd be great.
So Tree City, so I know in some places you have Tree Cities, I know where I
Tree
was,
City.
yeah, we are Tree City.
We are.
So, yeah. So where are the signs? I mean, I guess I'm probably missing them, or aren't they supposed to
That's
be?
a great
in the-
question. I don't
Because
know if
that's-
we have a sign
Yeah.
at the town border, and certainly.
I
we
would
should
love to
consider
see that,
There's
yeah.
one in the back of the room, I think.
I will.
Yeah, but I would just love to see that, you know, at the gateways, or, yeah, there's Michelle's going, fan away.
Right, exactly.
But I would love to see more celebration of
That's
that.
a great
And,
point, and I will make sure that's on the agenda for our next.
and do you do anything for Arbor Day, or?
We do. And last year we did a whole event in front of the Mason Library where we gave out seedlings and we had some educational programs. And we'd like to do a little more even this year, and that'll actually come in front of you.
Yeah.
Probably in about February.
Okay, so I would love to see Tree City signs, so that was.
Any of these trees on this list are gonna go up, and replace the trees that were being taken out of the parking lot for the, Blake Mansfield?
I don't know the answer to that.
That's- We have a meeting tomorrow, so.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that'll get on the tree warden's radar and be part of the agenda for the next tree committee meeting. So I apologize, I don't have an answer for you, but
Yeah.
in general, when trees are taken down, the warden brings them to the meeting, and then as a group, we decide what we want to replace that with. And over the last year, we've planted probably about 20 or 25 trees, which is within the budget we've been allotted for new tree plantings.
I love trees, sorry. Just on Main Street, so, you know, we have the crosswalks and we have the trees that were planted so many years ago. How are they doing? Or are you not the person to, you know, some of them are thriving, some of them are small, are we happy with the choices? And
In our last meeting, we got an update that the Parks Department actually went in and did a lot of cleanup. So they did some tree trimming, they added some new trees. We've recommended a few additional ones. I think there are a couple we want to plant in front of Steam that were removed or sickly. So
okay.
there is a list we've provided to the DPW on where we think new planting should go. They've gotten through probably about 2/3 of that list already. So they've made a lot of progress, and we're hoping that the rest will be done before the end of the year.
we are keeping an eye on the ones that aren't making it and replacing
Correct.
them.
In most cases, we want to try to save the tree.
Yeah.
It's hard to, get a large tree in place, so we'd rather, make sure that those trees are healthy. But in some cases, they're either the wrong tree and in the wrong spot, and we should.
So you're keeping an eye, okay,
So that is part of our duties.
super.
I just wondered, did you guys plant some trees up on Allen Day?
We did. Well, we didn't plant it. We recommended which trees to plant.
I saw, I walked my dog and I saw the hole and I saw the trees and I didn't know who did that. That was.
Yeah, so that was something that the tree committee recommended what to plant. We then worked with our counterparts at DPW to schedule that and pay for it.
DPW has been planting a lot of trees lately, I've noticed all over town, which is great.
We have a very good partner there,
Yeah.
and we're seeing a lot of progress, and we hope that will continue as we head into next year's budget.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You have a motion to appoint Terry Khan to the Historic District Commission.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Execution of the deed for Housatonic School. Do you have anything you want to add to it, please? We do. Yeah, motion.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I move that the select board sign a deed for the town property located at 207 Pleasant Street and known as the Housatonic School to WDM Properties LLC, a Delaware limited liability company pursuant to and in accordance with the vote under Article 16 of the 2008 annual town meeting and in accordance with the request for proposals process conducted pursuant to that vote. That the select board confirm that the property is no longer needed for municipal or school purposes, and to authorize the town manager to execute a title insurance affidavit in favor of Stewart Title Guarantee Company for the purpose of this conveyance.
Second?
So just to be clear, this is the last step. So once we vote on this, the building we will change hands to WDM and we will tomorrow. So this is the final step. Very exciting. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Very, very exciting. For some of us who've been here for a while.
Don't leave until you sign it.
Matthew O'Brien, you had your hand up. If you want to put it up again, I'd be glad to recognize you. Go right ahead. It's about the school?
Yeah, this is Matthew Eugene of the O'Brien family. I at 33 Van Duzenville Road in Housatonic. I never heard of that so far. What do they do is all I wanted to ask. What is this LLC? What is their company or what do they do?
So this has been going on about a year. They're a company that's located mostly in doing projects in North County, Pittsfield. And they are putting in 8 apartments into the old school building.
Okay, so it's an apartment building. Oh, that's all I wanted to know.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Citizen speak time. I need to see, Matthew, did you want to speak again?
Yeah, I had a question. It might involve the water company and paying for and getting this job done in Housatonic. I approached Jim Mercer with an indemnity bond that I tried. Private individuals as myself have indemnity bonds. Public people have insurance. And there are 4 people in Great Barrington in Housatonic that that are attached to an indemnity bond that could pay for, we need the full construction done there. The pipes are old. And there's other possibilities for the water as well that I spoke to Jim about, doing primary water, which is something that these are relatively new things, but they're technologies that are understood and used today. I tried to use the indemnity bond because I had questions with the town to use it to donate money instead of taxes since I'm in the private. They took the indemnity bond. And when I asked the treasurer if it worked, she said yes. And then they put a taking on my property, which I immediately went down and paid for what was called taxes and got it lifted, a redemption, they call it. But this same bond I was trying to use with Jim Mercer. And from what I understand, that's probably why I still haven't received it back. They defaulted on it. And they never gave me any reason. And then when I asked if it worked, the treasurer told me yes. And then I found out that she had already put a taking on my property. So I'm still, the 4 people that are in this town are willing to use that money. It can be accessed. It would be complicated, but it'd be another way of funding and getting things done in this town. For 18 years, I've lived here and had the same problem with the water. I've been in court with Jim Mercer and prevailed. And, we're still friends. And I just would like to get it done for the people of Housatonic. And if somebody would like to meet with me, I've sent many affidavits, phone calls over there, letters that have never been returned, ever. And when I ask who I can speak to, they have no idea who I can talk to about all these things. So anyway, if anybody there is interested in maybe another source of funding that doesn't use debt instruments and add more debt to our national debt, with real money, it could be something that could be explored. I know it sounds new, but it's very old. It's how our country was started. And it's so it's something that if you're interested in, I'd be happy to speak with anybody at the town. You can
Thank you
either.
very much. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Michelle, introduce yourself.
Michelle Rivera, 70 Division Street. I have 3 issues. All of them are connected to one another. One is I've brought up before crosswalks at the Division Street Bridge. Our town manager on September 11th and September 18th stated that the highway department, Joe Aberdale, has said state law dictates. I asked actually at those 2 meetings for a copy of the state law, didn't receive it, filed a public records request, did not receive it, filed appeal to the public records request. What I did receive were guidelines, which are not state law. For example, tonight on our agenda, our chair quoted open meeting law when he opened the meeting. public hearings, cite zoning laws. And so, if you go to a planning board meeting, laws are cited left and right during a planning board meeting. So it was my assumption that if our town manager said it's state laws what impacts whether a crosswalk can be at the Division Street Bridge, that it would simply give me the citation. I'm smart enough to look at the law myself. That was not provided to me. So for me, I'm wondering if that was a true statement or not. Just this morning, my husband and I, we were walking Division Street. We're on vacation this week. We were going towards our house, leaving Taft Farms. There was a red light. My husband went to cross. Somebody's looking up at the light and he was crossing and slammed on the brakes. Crosswalk is important. At the very least, signs, pedestrian signs should be there. That being said, up on Van Duzenville Road, the railroad is dumping rails again on Van Duzenville Road, which is an R2 zone, not an industrial zone. The trucks that are being used to do this were speeding up and down Division Street. And as a matter of fact, I witnessed one running the red light at the Division Street Bridge, which I again have stated before in public meetings that vehicles, including trucks, are running that red light. Fortunately, maybe unfortunately, I stopped at the Great Barrington Police Department and spoke to two police officers there who were wonderful. And one police officer said he would go and up there and speak with the trucking company that's doing that. But still, these are massive trucks with massive rails day in, day out, going up and down the road. As a matter of fact, they do it on a Sunday. And Eric, you brought up everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm wondering if I will, because are these trucks going to be loaded, dropping these rails off on Van Duzenville Road, which are allowed, by the way, when they drop them. So the quality of life up in my neighborhood is poor at best. Not only are we dealing with dirty water, we're dealing with this type of thing. And when I can't seem to get anybody to meet with me at the Division Street Bridge, which is another thing. That links to something else.
Time's almost up, though.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about PCB truck routes, which were published in the Berkshire Edge, which will impact Housatonic. So at some point, I was wondering if there's ever going to be any discussion with the people of Housatonic regarding what's going to happen up there. Because the last thing I want to see going back and forth in front of my house is big PCB trucks going back and forth. And I'm not happy with the town of Great Barrington right now. I asked a simple question regarding state law.
Your time's up. Thank you.
All right,
I gave
but
you an extra minute.
I can do it in writing.
Thank you. Trevor Forbes, go right ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for taking my statement and also question. Just wanted to say that Denise and I also agree with the comments that Michelle has just expressed. I'm Trevor Forbes from 325 North Plain Road. My question this time round really, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but I think an answer should be given to the citizens of Great Barrington, is really concerning low-income housing. I would like to know what proportion of low-income housing in, I guess, the Bentley apartments, but also in Windrush, I think it's called, just next to Guido's, what proportion of those actually are residents who come from Great Barrington? I don't know if I'm hearing correctly, but from what I can understand, the proportion of Great Barrington low-income people occupying those apartments and those buildings is actually quite small. And this concerns me because of the nature of the requirement to put a tax on residents of Great Barrington who are selling their properties if they are valued above $1 million. If this is to actually help people in Great Barrington, then that's one thing. I still have some issues with this notion. But from what I can understand, a large part of the low-income housing that presumably this will eventually be funding is actually not going to the needy of Great Barrington at all. And in fact, this appears to be a decision that's outside the ability of the select board to influence. From what I can understand, this is either a state or maybe even a federal decision. In which case, I would ask the select board to consider why the residents of Great Barrington should be funding this particular development at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Good. Come on, right up.
Hi, Donna Jacobs, 260 Park Street, and I had the pleasure today of joining two others in volunteering to process the applications for the distribution of $250,000. And it felt to me like it was a real collaboration between our representatives, our officials here, and the citizens, and I think that's really what we need. I learned at the meeting that the funds have some flexibility. And I'd like to ask the select board to consider using some of the monies to finance independent testing. I'm very concerned about the quality of my water right now. I'm preparing meals for a lot of people, and I don't know what I'm serving, and I don't know what I'm drinking. So I think we'd all in Housatonic like to have some assurance and confidence that what's coming out of the tap right now, even though the report of the last quarter looked as though we're within regulations, we want to be absolutely sure. I also want to think about what we're doing going forward. How are we preparing for next summer when the weather gets hot and the pipes start leaching and the water is warm, and you know, what kinds of measures are going to be taken so that we don't have another summer like the summers before? And if we do have emergencies in our water, if we have water emergencies, what provisions are going to be made to deliver water, clean, safe water to the residents of Housatonic, as I think is mandated by the state. We have a water emergency, we have to notify the state, and then we have to distribute safe water to the residents. So I'm just asking what we're doing for next year. And I'm also asking for some transparency between the board and the residents, getting the Association of Health Boards back to inform all of us what our powers as a town are in solving this problem that's been going on forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
Quickly, 70 Post Street. Just a couple things with the apartment housing that's going in at the school. Has parking been?
All that's been vetted out.
It's been vetted out,
Yes.
okay. And then the other thing on behalf of a lot of the residents in Housatonic, when the DEP was here, Stephen, I think you had mentioned to them to try to reschedule the meeting via Zoom. And I just wanted to share with you that the residents feel it is the utmost importance to have them here in person.
That's fine.
Okay. And Mark, I just also wanted to share with you that in the Edge they had quoted you about doing a gradual rate increase with the Housatonic Water Works, how they want to go up. And it's actually felt by the community that they are not in favor of that. So I don't know if that came from you, but I know a lot of the people in Housatonic are not in favor of any gradual increase at all. And they feel as though they're actually owed money for years of unsafe drinking water, and they paid bills that. So I just wanted to share that with you. So.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Andrew, Brian's.
Hi, thanks. Andy Barons, live at 1079 Main Street in Housatonic. Thanks for letting me speak. And I really appreciate what the town has been doing to intervene in the Housatonic Waterworks petition for a rate increase. But I just want to make sure that the select board is clear about where the majority of the residents stand in this regard. I don't think the residents of the village think that any rate increase is warranted, especially before any work has been done and before we know whether the proposed $4 million solution will be effective. I've written to a number of you on this board, so you know that I myself am very skeptical of the solution. I'm very skeptical of that Cornwell report. I don't think filtering the water at the point of entry is going to solve the water problems, which are not uniform. Some places tend to have much worse water quality than others. And I would also urge not to endorse a phased approach, as I think Mark's testimony suggests, for any rate increase, because we really don't think that a rate increase is appropriate. The village rates are already some of the highest already in the country and the state. So I don't think that anybody in the villages is happy about a phased approach being proposed. And then the last thing is, I don't think any of the interveners that I can tell have addressed the other propositions in Houstonic Waterworks petition, like the liens that they are proposing to collect. I think that they testified that there were over 170 delinquent accounts already. This is a company that has already alienated the majority of the village citizens, and to allow them the ability to place liens on people's property, to ignore any sort of distribution problems in these semi-public roads that they're trying to propose. I feel like that the town really needs to have some statements against that, because that would probably just make a bad situation a lot worse. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no one else to talk. Select board time, Ben.
One quick thing from me, I think in my opening statement, is a thank you rather than the TBW, and a lot of acronyms going around.
We knew what you meant.
Okay, thank you.
Garfield?
Nothing, thank you.
Eric?
Nothing, thank you.
Lee? Nothing. And I have nothing. Media time. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.